I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. 3 in a row folks, we're on a roll. Joining me to talk about some political stuff, maybe kind of possibly, is my scrumdiddlyumptious co-host, Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
Wow, that was a loud sound. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was obnoxious compared to last time.
Woohoo! Maybe it's because it's a little bit warmer. It wasn't in the fridge.
I want to see if I can try and at least get up there with it. I don't really have a can. All I've got is this. That's all I've got. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I know, right?
Sorry, I watch your whiskey streams.
Oh, do
so,
you?
like,
Got one coming up next Saturday.
and you'll be happy to know that sometimes I just leave them on in the background and I forget.
Yeah. I'm alright
So
with
then
that.
it auto plays.
Hey, I'm okay with that because we managed to get most of them monetized. The only ones that don't are the ones where my friend Dave makes age statement jokes. Oh, that's a 12-year-old in your mouth, Meg. It's a 12-year-old in your mouth.
No.
And I'm like, bitch, I have told
Why?
you time and time again. And then I go to appeal monetization and it gets rejected. And I'm like, stop doing this to us. I mean, we don't make much money on these streams. But come on, a couple pennies. We're getting nearer to Christmas. We might get lucky. You never know.
Yeah, true.
We've been plugging our Instagram. We made an Instagram for that street whiskey stuff.
Yes,
And,
I saw it on your, was it This Week at Twitter video?
Yeah, I may have mentioned it right at the end, but I also put it on the community tab because I was like, I want to get attention, and I thought it'd be funny. And yeah, no, I've been atting some of the main distilleries I like to try and get them to engage with us because we're trying to see how many distilleries we can get to reply to us. I got Talisker.
Oh, yeah,
today.
totally.
I got Talisker to reply to me today. I was very happy with myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep harassing them until they do it.
Oh
right?
no, I asked. I simply, when they put out a picture of one of their bottles I've never tried, I simply said, "Do you have one spare?"
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Well played.
yeah, just send it to me for science. That's all I ask. So how was Trups this week?
A whole lot of hurry up and wait at work, so not a whole lot going on, which, you know, some people think is a good thing.
Sounds
I'm okay
boring.
with it. It's just, yeah, it's one of those things, like, I don't know what to do with my hands kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm a fidget. If I don't have something to do, I kind of feel like I'm unemployed. I don't want to,
Yes.
you know, I'm here to do, I need to do something, you know?
Right, I'm here to do a job, and now I'm just sitting on, just fucking about on Twitter on my phone.
Yeah. And just to quickly address Katie in the chat. Hi, by the way. Whiskey Live. I like that. That's I wish I'd called it, instead of Not Worth a Cork. We changed
Yeah, but that's funny.
the Not Worth a Cork thing.
I think that's hilarious.
My dad did. He put it on T-shirts and made them for me, him, and Dave. Only
That's
him.
awesome.
Only him and Dave have shirts that fit. Mine's a double XL. It's literally a man nightie, a night shirt. It's so big on me. I can fit Dave inside it with a bit of room to spare. I'm at best a large.
That's amazing.
I'm not in the X's. And he's like, oh, but I'm surely you were a double XL like when we ordered. And I'm like, bitch, that was 3 months ago. I was not double XL 3 months ago.
Damn, getting absolutely flayed.
You know what? I'll take it. He bought me a circular saw earlier in the week, so I'm not going to complain.
Well, at least there's that.
Yeah, he bought me a treat, and I got him a birthday present. Who gives a shit? It's fine.
True.
It's fine. I won't bully him too hard for it. I'm very sorry it work's a bit boring for you at the moment.
That's okay. I'll take that over like me having to work extra or anything like
I
that.
get paid for it and all that as well.
Right, yeah, salary.
Yeah, not ideal.
But what about you? What have you been up to? I saw that you've been doing cabin things.
So I have been prepping the cabin for the winter. I now have 220 amp hours worth of power, which is all installed. I did it today. I didn't get shocked, which was lucky because I almost did. That's what I get for putting wires on the floor and not looking at them. I installed that. I have painted 90% of the entire living room now. It's now treated proper. It's got a damp treatment, clear treatment behind it. Hello, Saint Mystic and Karina. But then because of the one corner where there was a bit of damp issue, I have now done a paint over the top, a silk, nice malt chocolate color, like a Malteser interior, basically.
Yes.
I didn't want anything too strong on purpose, and I don't do strong colors. The office is like a pastel green, the bathroom's a pastel blue. It's nice and soft. 90% of the room is done. The only part I haven't done is the whiskey cabinet. I have to empty that, move it, and then paint behind it. We're talking about there is about 100 to 120 bottles in there. So I made a deal with Dave. He's here on Tuesday evening late. I said, look, I'll do all the decorating and get it all ready. The heat, I put a radiator in. I've got a new dehumidifier for the winter as well. I'll do everything. I'll do all the decorating, but I need you to do me a favor, and I will let you, from any bottle that is already opened. I had to specify that because he's a dickhead. You may pour yourself a double from any one bottle. Yeah, if you put everything back. And he's like, yes. He doesn't. I know what he's going to go for. He's going to go for one of the most expensive ones, and that's quite all right. If it's open, he can help himself. And I know exactly. It's one of two. He's either going to go with the Highland Park Fire, which is about £160. That was my January treat last year, or he's going to go with my Jameson's 18 because he's had a glass of it and I still haven't. That costs about 180 quid. Yeah, he's the only person.
Have a drink, damn it.
I just haven't got around to it. I thought we would do a Jameson stream and then I'd have no excuse to avoid it. I haven't been avoiding it on purpose, by the way. I just haven't had a glass of it. But Dave's the only one that has, and I thought, if anyone's going to do it, it'll be him again. 'Cause I know what he's like. He'll go for the most expensive.
Coming up, right?
Yeah, we have a Tamnavulin one. Different distillery. But we will be in the cabin, so I'm sure we are going to do some VCs with some samples as well. On Discord, we've made it on the server on Moistonia. If you're a patron, you'll know about it. A whiskey lounge. So we'll do VCs, and no one else can talk because it'll just be us two talking. We'll go through samples and talk and bullshit our way through things.
Lovely.
Yeah. But I've been decorating. I've got enough power now. I've got a radiator in that works. I've tested it. Batteries didn't die instantly, which means we're fine. And yeah, we're good. It should be good for the winter. In January, obviously, I'll be full-time in there working. Starting in the new year, because then I have a fresh start. I'm working at the moment during the week also. Going forward, up until December and including it, I'll be working on all the end-of-year projects that I put out in December to try and earn as much money as possible. Just context here, folks, because you'll love this. In December last year, CPM, so views for every 1,000, for every 1,000 views, the CPM was $13. So I got 1.2 million views. That would surely equate to, well, obviously 1 million. The 0.2 was the 200,000 was after Christmas Day itself. The 1 million would surely then equate to 13 grand, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't even make half of that.
Aww.
I made more than the year before, and it's been going up every year because I've been working harder. But still, I felt so shafted by that. Genuinely, on Christmas Day, when I finally checked to see how much I'd earned for the month so far, I was so deflated. I was so annoyed because then I was told on Twitter that it fluctuates. I'm like, bitch, no, it bloody well doesn't. All right, I've been deceived. All my videos are monetized. I worked so hard. But never mind. I've been working on videos for end of year. I've been working on end of year videos now, and so that these videos will be uploaded in December. Many of them are going to be over an hour long on purpose because rewatchability and because December, my worked to my benefit. You know, if YouTube hadn't shafted us on ads as well. In the sense of
Indeed.
removing the ability to have ads and wherever we wanted them.
How dare you think this platform is for you to use?
Well, they recently changed it. I would insert them every 15 minutes. They will instead be dickheads about it and do every 5 minutes. I can't have that because people won't watch the rest of the video. If I'm putting out a 2-hour video and they put like 20 ads in the first hour, no one's going to watch the rest, are they? They're not going to get through 20 ads. And also, YouTube just introduced something with the ad blockers. Every time I turn on YouTube now to put on a video, I get a thing saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to have ad blocker. You can't have ad blocker." It's when we watch videos and so I turn it off. Anyway,
Sounds like big bullshit.
I noticed you saw the rather amusing video I posted on the server with I don't know how they do the voices for Obama, Biden, and Trump in some kind of VC.
Oh, the AI.
That's hilarious. I love it. I've seen a few of those videos, and each time, like, one was, if you could take on, what's the biggest animal you could beat in a fight? Biden's like a mouse, and Trump's like a giraffe. I climb on its back, climb up its neck and chin it. Obama, and then someone said chimpanzee or something at some point, and I thought that was a bit on the, and someone said that's a bit on the nose, don't you think?
Oh, no.
It was Obama that said it. But yeah, so moving on from that nonsense that no one will understand here, I couldn't help but notice this week something amazing has been going on in your country. Like, the Republican Party really don't like winning, do they, and staying there. So I guess there's more context, but it looks this way.
Okay.
What's happened?
I presume you are referring to the ousting of Kevin McCarthy from the speakership.
Yeah. He didn't last long, did he?
Well, okay, so yes, you're right, there is context to this. So basically the idea was when he got elected to the speakership, I don't know how much or how in-depth we actually ever got into this.
We didn't.
Okay, well that works out in my favor a little bit. So when he was elected, it went through 15 rounds of voting before he finally even got like a modicum of consideration, right? Like enough consideration that it would actually matter, meaning he actually got elected. In that situation at the time, the Freedom Caucus, which the media will call the right-wing radicals, basically they gave him a set of rules and guidelines to operate within. And in what he did recently with the shutdown negotiations, basically going into a backdoor deal with the Democrats, from Matt Gaetz's perspective, who is the de facto leader of the Freedom Caucus, from his perspective, and actually a lot of other people who consider themselves like avid Republicans, citizens, not politicians. They believe that what Matt Gaetz did was correct, in that you have a person who is taking away the agency of the people to argue that, well, $300 million doesn't belong in a budget to fund the U.S. government for the next 30 days. But you know what should be in there? Border security provisions, but that wasn't in there. So
They never is that at the moment.
No, and that's part of the issue.
I find that quite funny because you've had New York's, is it governor, the female lady person, complaining, or mayor, complaining about, years ago said that the gate should be open, welcome as many as we can, and then 3 years later the clip cuts to her now saying, we need limitations. Like, well, of course, look at Canada. They welcome so many people in. They now have a housing crisis and inflation's gone through the roof. Why? Because they can't afford this.
Not many areas can individually.
That's why I find the open borders thing to be so funny. Because people don't seem to realise it becomes a swarm of locusts going to a place, harvesting the place, bleeding it dry, and then leaving and going to another place. The same thing will happen. You have to raise everywhere else up.
Yeah, but like that's not what they decide they want to encourage or they want
No,
to
you're right. It's
experience.
quite tragic.
They want to basically stand on some sort of moral high ground. And why don't you think of the poor economic migrants? They are escaping.
You mean refugees, right?
Yes, yes. With all of their things that they are running from, like low wages.
Well, they're hardly going to get. It's interesting because in this country where that's happened, they've ended up in hotels that are of a higher quality than the housing we live in. It's just, and they still complain it's not good enough. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you came here and you thought we'd give you a house and a whole life. You out of your fucking mind. There are people on housing waiting lists here. We are a small country.
Yes,
we'd have to build we have to build at least 250 houses a year, or flats. I'd rather flats, to be honest, based on the space of the country, just to be able to accommodate the growth of the country. I'm sorry, but to include those that come in as well, fuck off. The government's not doing shit about it here, but boats are still coming across.
Well, and you are right. Like, that is exactly, what they expect, and in some cases, what they receive.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look at the, I forget what the island is called, but between Italy and Africa, I can't remember what the island is called, but it's a very small island.
Like Malta, one of those ones that got flooded, didn't it?
Yeah,
population's like 10,000 or something, or 5,000.
It's got a population of like I think 6,000, and like 10,000 migrants showed up.
Yeah,
I'm like, you are completely displacing the people who live here. Like, it's no longer their place.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that in that context, I mean you have very real problems, at least coming through that kind of a situation. When it comes to the illegal immigration situation. And yeah, I'm kind of glad that certain situations have led to Eric Adams basically saying that, the New York that you once knew isn't going to be there for long, that that our system is straining to the point of breaking. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, could you imagine what it must be like feeling as New York right now, what it must have been like to be Texas for all of these years.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they are still prospering. Amazing. Literally amazing. Not like figuratively. Actually incredible. Because, I mean, we have a lot of space down in Texas, but it
doesn't matter how much space you have.
They have millions of people.
Yeah, and they're ferrying them over to New York as well, aren't they?
They are now.
They have no choice. I'm sorry, but New York and all these other the regions of the country that are very blue and open to the idea of open gates need to learn very quickly this is not acceptable, and it is quite harmful to the states where you seem to think it's okay they go to. These states need to prosper because your 50 states work together. So so the states that seem to think it's okay to lump one state with all the problems and think that they can continue with their life as it is, no. You need to understand the consequences are going to be felt at your door as well. Your choices and your burdens have actions, consequences and outcomes, and they will negatively impact you as well.
Yep. And that was the part of the deal that they weren't too fond of. Color me shocked. They don't like it when they have to be the ones to take on the challenge or, sacrifice things for their own policies. It's really unfortunate when the consequences of your own actions come back to bite you. Mm-hmm. It's not very fair for another country to have to, or another state rather, to have to.
Well, no, I'd say countries offer that because a state is its own country, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. But yeah, one state or a collection of states, being border states, should not have to bear the brunt of your decision making when you don't have to, accept any of the problems that come with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that idea in mind, like I'm 100% down with all of the things that are going on, genuinely. I think that they are long overdue for not a comeuppance, because I don't want to sound like a vindictive little shit.
No. It's what goes around and comes around. I'm sorry, you cannot live life thinking you are consequence free just because you did one thing and others are paying the price for it. You don't get to do that. No.
Right.
And it is a case of you deserve it if that's what you think is what's right. Texas just because, and by the way, another reason why I think a lot of these cities and states do it is because they think, oh, well, they're a different color, so we're just gonna.
Well, realistically, that's the actual reason, right?
I don't
ever.
Yeah, you say because you're American.
They won't admit it out loud.
It comes across as that. It comes across as that, and
that's because
so
it's true.
It shows how lazy it is, how poisonous it is. I can't be arsed. But that gives more context to
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, to McCarthy, because I didn't know
it's a boiling point, right? Yeah. It's how much are you going to make me sit here and take all this BS before I have to put my foot down and say, look, if you're not going to work with us, then you don't deserve to hold this position that we granted you. So the Republicans then, Matt Gaetz, brought forth the letter of removal, and it was 216 to 210 to hold him in power. Now, every Democrat who was present voted to remove Kevin McCarthy. So let us not believe for a moment here that this is solely the Republicans doing.
Well, I was going to ask the split on the vote, and then you said it, and I was like, the moment you said it, my thought was, it had to have been a few Republicans and a lot of Democrats.
All of the assembled Democrats and 7 Republicans.
I mean, they'd vote to get rid of him because he's Republican.
Yeah.
Hang on. If they voted to get rid of him, wasn't he working to do something with them, though?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Look, politics is not clean, but yes, you get the point.
If they were smart, they would have voted to keep him there because they could have worked with him.
Right? Because he was working in a bipartisan fashion, but the Democrats said, no. That's why I initially took umbrage with the way you phrased it, like the Republicans don't know how to win. Actually, I think the Democrats don't know how to win.
There's a reason why that amused me, because it is a case that is often what's used as a soundbite, though, isn't it? Because the Republicans just don't seem to know how to stay in power. But then, even with the context, they still don't, because the person who was in power was doing the one thing that would get him out.
Yeah.
There's a level of like, if he was smarter, perhaps he would have played with the party, knowing the party currently wasn't in that kind of mood to work with the Democrats.
The problem was that Kevin McCarthy wasn't willing to accept the consequences of a government shutdown. It wasn't going to be good for his political career to allow it to happen.
I'll be honest, it felt inevitable to me.
Well, and that's perfectly fine. But basically, the fact that because he basically went behind closed doors to negotiate a deal that would be amenable to Senate Democrats as well.
Yeah.
Because he can get across, a Republican thing through the House. It's the Senate Democrats that he needed to make sure that he was able to placate. And that was the part that really pissed him off. Because, I mean, you're going behind closed doors to work out a deal with the other party without the consideration of your own party.
I do think that the mistake there is a big mistake now, with the added context of he should have worked with his party to get this deal, because they had the House.
Yes. And let's also remember that this was a kind of deal that he worked out in those initial 15 failed votes when he was getting elected. It was a deal that was struck that basically those Republicans could hold this over his head should he break the agreements, which was essentially a list of not like egregious demands,
Let's go with
but
terms.
demands.
Yeah.
Terms. That if he broke it, that this is what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, shocker, he broke it. Look what happened.
It's what you call this is what happens when you fuck around, and then the consequences when you find out.
Yes, quite right.
So after he got ousted, I would admit I been dumping sources all week on this because I cried with laughter when I saw it. I did read it, by the way. I just thought I'd lead us down a path that I thought was more interesting. And I saw first of all I saw that Pelosi and another person had been banned from their offices. That apparently a standard procedure though to bar them.
So just as a context, apparently Pelosi had still been allowed to stay in the speaker's office.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it either, to be honest, because she hasn't been speaker for a while now. So
I think I would assume they did it because senior citizen. Now,
oh well,
there was that, but then I've seen two names. Two names. One was that Trump himself, he has confirmed by video, he had been asked to be or become the House Speaker and said, all I can say is we'll do whatever's best for the country and for the Republican Party. I'll continue the quote because I've actually got to expand the image here. A lot of people have asked me about it. My focus is totally on the election. If I can help them during the process, I would do it. What did you think about that? Or did you not know?
I thought that idea was a great one, but he came out a little bit later and said that no, he's not going to do it.
Yes, so there was that.
Is a shame.
I agree, but then I think it's because he then decided to back someone else. And I actually don't mind this person because I remember seeing them call out some bullshit in the House committees. Jim Jordan.
Yes.
Now, I know Jim Jordan, Republican, whatever, but I saw him calling out some of the party line politics bullshit with the impeachment nonsense and the Kavanaugh stuff.
Yeah.
And we covered that here. And he, he's a reasonable. He seems. I don't know much about his policies, but from the actions I've seen, he seemed more reasonable. Maybe more popular with the party. Who knows?
I think that you are correct in that assessment. I personally like Jim Jordan. I like his policies. I like his candor. A very take no prisoners kind of attitude. I think that's something that we need in an era where apparently everyone's too much of a pussy to do anything about it. So I'm a big fan personally.
Yeah, Jim Jordan, not the worst choice in the world. And would him as a choice be a choice that would work for those that wanted him gone, but also those that would wanted McCarthy to stay?
No. Jim Jordan is considered by many to be a radical.
Oh, radical because he's very right-leaning, or?
Yes, because he's very right-leaning.
Okay, so I know nothing of him, so you're going to have to help me out here.
Well, okay, so in terms of his policies, like, for example, he is heading a committee on the investigation of government interference and basically overreach of the Justice Department. In that aspect, a lot of more center-leaning, and of course the Democrats find him to be on a witch hunt. I'm using these words intentionally.
Oh, is that like the people who are already looking to impeach Biden?
Yeah.
Ah, I've heard about that.
And similar individuals, yes. So that whole piece is also a part of his repertoire and the expectations that he, as a member of the House, has a reputation for. He's that kind of a guy. So he's looking for the corruption to get it out of the party. That's his modus operandi. That's how he presents. If you are a Democrat who is believing this to be, farcical, much like how everyone thought the impeachment inquiries were, then you would look at his attitude and his behavior as negative.
Right.
So that's really why him as a individual is not quite appreciated by the more moderate individuals.
So that's the problem the Republicans currently have, though, isn't it? How do you find someone that will give or get enough support to be the speaker?
Well, okay.
Moderate and more right-leaning divide. Who do you have?
So this is a big issue that Republicans, as the kind of everybody else party right now, have. So if the Democrats are the party of the left, the progressive, the ideologues, and the conservatives are basically just everyone else, you have a wide range of severity from center to right, right? And of course, if you have a Republican from the West Coast, they're more Democrat than they are Republican. So it's hard to base strictly off of party lines what kind of split you are going to have when it comes to voting, especially when it comes to establishment players versus populist players. Populists obviously are not nearly as popular to other establishment players as they are to the individual constituents.
Okay.
You've got a bit of a fight that you have to navigate. You either pick somebody who's moderate but who respects the more conservative side of things, that both sides can agree is a decent choice. But if they at all are linked to Trump or January 6th, they will immediately be voted down by all of the Democrats. So you'll have no breaking from the cult on that side,
So
and you have to,
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because then you have to also consider that it took how many votes to get McCarthy in? I can
15.
imagine there being quite a few to get this guy in.
Right, and we have a pro tempe, a temporary individual who is taking up that role. That was the individual whose first action was to evict Pelosi from her office, which I thought was based.
I saw that, actually. Interim House Speaker. What's their name? I've got it on the screen here. Patrick McHenry.
I thought that was pretty. I don't really know a whole lot about him either myself.
They're not supposed to have been in those offices anyway. They were given clearly some kind of grace period. It's like, that's not how politics works. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, you were given a grace period. You have very well overstayed your welcome at this point. And then, of course, they were like, oh, but we were at Dianne Feinstein's funeral, and how dare you evict us while we're not even there? We can't even collect our things. Bitch, you have people to go do that for you. Don't even start.
Okay, so with the selection process underway, I guess, what happens?
So now they have to go and seek out whomever, they think is going to work for the job, and that's going to be its own cluster in the news cycle. And I'm sure that the Democratic side of the media is going to absolutely love taking apart every single individual that the Republicans put up there. But by comparison, the U.S. issues with Speaker is not nearly as bad as the fact that Canada's Speaker of the House resigned after that issue that we talked about last week.
Oh, God, yeah, true. I mean, applauding a Nazi and then getting ousted for being bipartisan.
Yes, and then the new guy came in, and he had previous issues with ethics violations, so that's hilarious.
I mean, I've got a prime minister who's known for embezzling, who's getting divorced, which is not good for looking like a family man, and a good feminist, leaving his woman wife. How dare you? And also doing blackface. It's not like they're actually looking that good right now, to be fair.
No, they're not. So, I mean, Canada, by comparison, is much worse off than we are.
Canada's worse off because the inflation is killing their economy. The migrant problem in their country is so bad that, as earlier pointed out by Brian Blakey, is less than 1% where you live, and the rent has increased by 33% in February. That is bonkers. I'm glad this house is owned because I can imagine the council's doing something similar here. Although I can imagine in this country it'll get to a point where councils will start moving people just so they can create migrant communities. Because Germany did that. They moved people out of blocks of flats so they can move migrants into them. Yeah? And that was very unfair to the families that lived in these blocks of flats. And then,
that was my first thought.
And then they started fires in them because they didn't like them.
Okay, cool.
Ungrateful ball bags. Families lived there for decades, and that's not cool.
No, but it definitely shows, a reminder to whom one is.
So there is a question in the chat for you.
Oh.
Do you think Pelosi will get the job back? Now I know the answer because of how it works, but
I want to say no, but I can't promise that because if a minority of individuals, right? If a minority of Republicans break from the situation, then you very well may get a Pelosi back in office.
Oh God! Thing is, she said she didn't want to be.
Yeah, but then she decided she wanted to come back and have another go, I guess.
She's dumb.
So that question is very good. I'm hoping not is the answer to that. Because I don't think we can stomach her for that much longer.
I mean, she's the best person to deal with insider trading. I'm just saying.
Oh, absolutely. She is very well versed.
Not that you could ever ask her about it, because then she suddenly turns into
a deaf person,
someone that's been neuralized. Yeah,
that too. But yes, I hope to God Pelosi doesn't get the job back. But also, could you imagine what it would be like to be Hakeem Jeffries, the first black minority leader for the Democrats, to get overshadowed by a geriatric? After all, if we're going to talk Hillary Clinton-wise, it's his turn.
Agreed.
So,
I'm interested to see what they do, because I've heard nothing of them since they, got there.
Yeah, he's basically just been, hollering from the wings, be like, yeah, fuck the Republicans. Yeah.
He's a man.
Trump's bad guy. Yeah, no, he's basically a hype man in the corner.
The Trump thing. Fuck me. The amount of people I saw an article recently, Bono, he says, I don't want to ever hear Trump's name because America's in such a dire strait right now. And I'm like, bitch, for any policy a Republican or a Democrat put into force, it only really starts to affect the country after 10 years. He was there for 4. By the way, all the shit you were complaining about, no lie, was all stuff that Biden turned and fucking vetoed, you fucking mongoloid.
I mean, what can you expect? He's clearly
Irish.
not paying attention. Well,
that too. He must be. He's an idiot. Like, you can't.
He's gotta be.
You can't complain about somebody who's not in office after 3 years or 2.5, whatever how many years it is, but complain about when they're not in office with policies that were also vetoed. Like, they never got to see the good in those policies because Biden's an idiot.
Well, actually, there is a policy that is currently coming back to, I guess you could say, bite Biden, and that's actually the border wall. So Biden is being forced to rebuild part of the border wall because the Senate had allotted a certain amount of money that had to go to the border wall as per the appropriation bill. I want to remind everybody that Biden campaigned on not a single inch of wall would be created in his administration. A lot of good that did, not for so long apparently, though.
Not that anyone's ever talking about that. I haven't heard shit about that.
That's recent. More recent than, or at least it's recent for media standards. So yeah, there's plenty going on.
Yeah.
And it's always an exciting time to be in this country. But more interestingly, and actually I'm kind of surprised that we didn't go this route much faster, is so have you heard what's going on with Trump and his cases?
No. So nothing of that gets reported over here.
Oh, okay. So Trump's businesses got de facto dissolved by a New York judge within this past week.
That sounds a bit. Hmm.
So in a summary judgment, a New York judge basically invalidated or voided all of Trump's New York business licenses. And basically what that means is that he may no longer operate any of his businesses within New York.
I mean, it's not a problem. He could just move to Florida.
Well, he did try, and well, okay, this is all based on a insinuation or an assertion made by the court that Trump has falsified his holdings and his net worth. They say that his, $8 billion, status that he claims to have is horseshit. That actually Mar-a-Lago isn't worth the whatever he said it was, the close to, however many billion. It's actually, just about $25 million. Like the entirety of the property of Mar-a-Lago is a grand total of $25 million.
I don't know much about the value of land over there, so I'm kind of curious if that's true or not.
Well, let's do a bit of research, shall we? Let's find out what Mar-a-Lago's address is, because I want to let's see.
It's not on Jupiter Island, is it? Because that shit's expensive.
I don't think so. Okay, so we've got it here. It's Fort Lauderdale. All right, cool. Now let's pull up Zillow. Zillow, for all intents and purposes, is a
I know what Zillow is.
Okay, cool. Good. For anybody who doesn't, it's what you can essentially look at for cost of items and things.
Yeah, I've looked at it before for properties in a certain state that I was looking at years ago.
Yes. Okay, so let's see here. This is that Mar-a-Lago, really? Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Surrounding properties, we're looking at a 6-bedroom, 11-bath, 20,000 square feet, just a home, $98 million.
Oh, lad.
2.7 acres.
Is that it?
Yeah, 2.7 acres, 98 million. Can you imagine what is going to happen to the real estate market in Fort Lauderdale or that surrounding area if the evaluation of Trump's property, a 20-something acre resort, clubhouse, and event venue, is only valued at $25 million?
So, what did he say it was worth?
25 million?
No, what did he say it was worth? Trump.
I think it was closer to like 2 billion.
So that would make sense. Think about it.
The revenue going through
it. That 2.5 acre, 98 million. Times it, just times it by 10, maybe not even that times it. Yeah, you still got 1.8 billion. It's still worth over $1 billion.
Right. Yeah, it's about $1 billion if you were to multiply it by 10. Yeah. And then that's just a residential, right? So then you have to also you have to factor in commercial, and usually when evaluations actually happen, you have to consider the revenue that would be made by a business. That's what a bank would do when they're evaluating a commercial property. That's just apparently not a thing that they're doing. So And I'm looking, just a couple other places. Oh, there's a townhouse for sale. 2 bedrooms, 3 baths. Oh, what is that? That is doesn't even give me the acreage because it's a townhouse and it's probably not a whole lot.
Not even an acre. If it's a townhouse, it's not an acre because that'd be
it just says dash square feet.
Yeah, so it would have a yard. It wouldn't have a garden.
Yeah, it's 1.4 million.
That makes sense.
By the way, it looks gorgeous. And it's got, like, water access. I mean, it's absolutely fucking amazing looking. But I don't want to live in Fort Lauderdale. Traffic's terrible.
Based on the cost of the cost of the properties, the cost of living there would be far too high for any of us to live there anyway.
Oh, well, that's another story, too. We are definitely not the rich bloods who are supposed to be living down that area.
I don't even make the national, like, average wage here. I am far too low income for this shit.
I feel that. So yeah, that is what they claim that Trump is, skirting by, I guess, basically the fraud is that he devalued or increased the value of his property to defraud investors and business partners and other people like that.
They're idiots.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Even Joe Rogan said so. But you have a person, a judge, who is outwardly and on record in some cases actually admitting that he at times believes that he will rule outside of the typical way that people would expect. He said biases are a thing, and we do our best, but there's not so much you can do all the time, which is at least honest. But don't let me think that this summary judgment that you've made. And then the requisite refusal to allow Trump to transfer the properties or assets to another LLC that he owns in another state. Yeah, don't let me, don't pretend that you are any kind of unbiased in this situation. This is very clear bias, in my personal opinion.
No, that's exactly what it is. And also, if they tank the value of the properties in Florida, they just make makes DeSantis look weaker.
Well, actually, that could be a lawsuit.
It would be. It could actually. You're right.
Because then the injured parties, the individuals who are either real estate investors, banks who have loans, individuals who own property, you could class action and sue the state of New York and their Justice Department for essentially. One could probably say that it's a form of theft.
It is.
And I don't want to say defamation, but basically they're presenting false information that has a negative impact on their money. Yeah. I mean, they would lose millions of dollars overnight.
I mean, New York can't really afford to lose much money, and if they did in a settlement, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious too. Yeah, you're right. But I genuinely wonder, like, hey, does this guy understand the severity of what he possibly has just done?
It sounds like another excuse to try and make it seem like we've got something on Trump guys, and then presented it's like, bitch, you got nothing on Trump guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you're clutching at straws again, and you're making up stories.
Well, this one is particularly devious because Trump, like his assets, his net worth is something very, very important to him as an image and as just a man, right? Like that is his legacy. His businesses are his legacy. And you are basically cheating the justice system and are now holding a trial to determine what he can and cannot keep through a summary judgment decision.
It sounds like an attempt to emasculate him. Emasculate?
I think that's a good a good way to think about it. It's a gut punch, if nothing
It's
else.
an attempt at one. I don't think it's going to be honest. It just sounds like a really weak attempt to try and harm somebody. He's got phenomenal investments in golf courses and property.
And internationally.
Yeah. Oh, it must be he's colluding with the Russians then.
Oh well, that is what they have said.
Don't forget, he had meetings with Chinese people, which means he's in league with the Chinese.
Ah, yes, I completely forgot about Wang Shitong and
fucking.
Wait, why does that name actually come to mind? Wait, what? Who is that? I just said that out loud, and I was like, wait, that's an actual person.
I was going to say Stephen He, because I thought it'd be funnier.
Oh, great! Wang Shitong is the fucking owl from Avatar.
Well, that's embarrassing.
No, it's not. It's fine. At least I didn't make any direct issues with actual people. I just mentioned an owl that was based on an area that was based on China. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that situation has happened, and then the other issue with Trump recently, because oh my god, it's been so much, is today they were complaining that Trump may have revealed nuclear sub-secrets to an Australian businessman. Which, okay.
I know nothing of this.
Interesting.
So
like, how did he do such a thing? Well, he told him. Oh, how do we know this? Trump told Australian.
But he must have told us. That's how. I mean, he has no physical proof. He just told us.
Well, see now, and that's why they have not mentioned that. I think apparently, let's see here. Donald Trump just the sources said Pratt then went on to share that info. Oh, okay. After Trump left office, Australian billionaire and Mar-a-Lago club member Anthony Pratt alleged in interviews with federal investigators that the former president disclosed details to him about U.S. nuclear submarines around April 2021. Anonymous sources familiar with the matter told ABC News.
In the chat, Shadowband pointed out it's not just Trump's legacy, it's his father's and his grandfather's. Because
that's a good point, too.
Also, aren't nuclear subs made by private companies, so what's so secret about it?
Not only that, but, okay, so I'm going to send you a screenshot of like what I searched and what I got, because it's very interesting what the actual first article was that popped up. And I just want to get your initial response.
Let's have a look.
So the first one in actual article, not in recent news.
Wait, what?
So it's America is doing deals with Australia.
Oh my god.
And it says the US and UK will be sharing technology and expertise with Australia to help it build nuclear-powered submarines as of fucking September 18th, 2021.
I remember this as well, because we spoke about it.
Yeah, because it was in the same vein as we were creating a Pacific force to fight against China if the issue ever came about it. And the Royal Australian Navy was a major component to this.
On this channel, for those in the chat, we discussed the nuclear power submarine deal between US, UK, and Australia. We discussed it on this show many years ago. Obviously, it was 2018. But I remember.
The article, by the way.
Yeah, I'll put it the article in. Oh, you put it in the chat, brilliant.
I got you.
I remember this because we agreed it was a good thing. It's a bit of coordination and cooperation. Also, why not help that country with the massive spiders out? There's nothing wrong with that.
True.
Oh, by the way, I've just pulled up accidentally the news app thing at the bottom of your window browser where you have your temperature. And the first article I've got here is Dangerous Conspiracy to End Democracy in 2025 Taking Root Among Right-Wing Billionaires. And it's got a picture of Trump, so we know exactly where this is going. I'm going to link it to you.
Well, hold on. If he defrauded other people, then he's not a billionaire.
Yeah, he's at best maybe 100 millionaire.
Yeah, if he defrauded people and his net worth isn't as high as he said it is, then he's not a billionaire. So therefore, that's a misleading article
You know what it
because
is?
he's not a... Yeah.
Well, you've got it. It's MSN. It's fake news.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But by all means, have a look at it if you want a good laugh.
Oh, yeah.
It's yeah.
And yes, I do believe the USA sold subs to Australia recently. Yes.
It doesn't surprise me.
Not only that,
because
but our
it's
nuclear
my-
sub program has actually been in an uptick recently.
Oh, that's good news.
So I just find it interesting. The timing is very bizarre. Almost like somebody wanted more funding for the program, and if you have to argue that things need to change now because maybe potentially nuclear secrets may have been, let out, and we might have to change some procedures and policies and maybe how some things work, that would be a really good way to continue to escalate profit margins that go into companies like Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or BPMI.
I've always been more of an NVIDIA guy personally.
Yes, different company. But I don't know anything about that. That was funny. What's really funny about all of this, though, is they're talking about how the nuclear subs were shared by Trump, and this is a terrible thing. Our national security is at risk. Okay, I watched a video like a week ago that talked about War Thunder. I think you've played War Thunder before, or you know of War Thunder.
I know of War Thunder. Yeah, I know of
War
it.
Thunder in the last month, in September, right, has disclosed secret classified information on their forums 3 times.
Really?
In the month of September, 3 times.
That's not a good look.
But you know why? It's because people are arguing about whether or not something is technically accurate. And then somebody says, this isn't accurate. Some other guy goes, how would you know? Guy goes, this is how I know. Slaps down classified maintenance manual.
They're so desperate for attention. I don't understand that need.
It's hilarious.
It's,
I think it's funny as shit.
You can tell they weren't loved as children.
Well, I think it's funny because, right, the media is complaining about Trump revealing these secrets, but I've never heard them once complain about, the very obvious leak problem that we have with individuals who have access to classified information, sharing them on online forums about their war simulator game.
Admittedly, it's not a good look, but I will admit, at least we know there's some accuracy in this game.
Yes, correct. In fact, War Thunder has come out repeatedly and said, please stop doing this. Please stop trying to tell us that we're wrong. We have so much shit that we have to deal with because of you people.
That is... I mean, I'm surprised they haven't been brought to, the Hill yet, just to answer some committees. I'm
sure they have, honestly.
God.
Because I bet you there is... I could go looking through, some things on the House committee hearings, but it's probably classified.
C-SPAN footage.
Yeah, I probably could find War Thunder at the Capitol testifying before Congress, hey, this isn't the first time that this problem has happened. What are you doing over there exactly?
I just wanted to be the case.
It's not the plan. We didn't want to. It's not the plan. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I just like the idea that War Thunder, the executives and the developers are there, and one of the guys in the panel's like, "Yo, I play your game. It's fucking banging, mate.
It's so accurate. It's weird, dude. And I bet you, some of the people that are revealing this information, I bet you they're former military operators, and they just have the manual.
Honestly,
I bet you it's just next to them.
Yeah.
And they're
kept it like a script from a movie, They're one extra roll.
And then they were like, well, it went missing. I mean, that's a joke ongoing with every military person I've ever talked to. It's like, look, if something goes missing, that's the only way you get new shit. So,
yeah,
things go missing, we get new ones. That's how it goes.
I kind of like the way this stream is ending because it's quite amusing to me.
Mm-hmm.
War Thunder, man.
Oh yeah, I think it's fucking hilarious.
Gonna have to get War Tanks on this as well.
Yeah, I play that too, actually.
Yeah, so does Dave, my mate Dave, the whiskey stream guy.
You should play it too. It's fun.
I would if I had time, but I know if I get sucked in, I won't make any content.
Oh, well, it could always be part of your content.
Could be one day, maybe after Christmas.
The Omegon gaming streams. Let's go.
Maybe on Twitch, do extra ones on Twitch here and there. You never know. We have actually hit the 1 hour mark, and I know you might have to leave and get somebody.
I do.
Right. So we are going to vanish. Is Trups here next week?
I think so.
So we might be 4 in a row, guys.
Yes, we're good.
4 in a row, folks. We're on to it.
Yep, we got it. It's going.
My friend Dave will be here, but he'll be shutting the fuck up while we talk.
Bet.
He won't.
No.
Anyway, thanks for joining, guys. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to smash the like and share the stream about. We'll be back next week, so say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, gorgeous.